Thank you for joining us for today's Idaho Falls Rotary Club program. My name is Liza Leonard, and I am president-elect for the Idaho Falls Rotary Club. Our club is pleased to be able to continue to provide our programming through help with IE Productions. We're again here in their studio, social distancing, and offering these online programs. A big thanks to IE Productions for allowing us to keep doing this with them. For those of you that are joining us who are not Rotarians, we'd just like to tell you a little bit more about our organization. Rotary Club is an international service organization with approximately 1.2 million members worldwide. Our motto is service above self. There are a number of regional Rotary clubs, and as for the Rotary Club of Idaho Falls, we have been around since 1918. We serve our community and the world through a number of different projects and initiatives, including in the areas of fighting disease, providing clean water, supporting education and local economies, saving mothers and children, and promoting peace. Locally, our Rotary Club is probably best known for the Great Snake River Greenbelt Duck Race, which raises funds every year to improve the Riverwalk Greenbelt trails and contribute to the construction of the new Heritage Park. We're looking forward to that event returning in 2021. We are always accepting members and would love to have you learn more about our club. Please feel free to reach out to us via Facebook or by visiting our website, ifrotary.org. It's election time for the Rotary Club, so I just wanted to make sure that all of our Rotary members know that they can nominate fellow Rotarians to become board of directors, a board of director position, or also we are accepting nominees for our next vice president. If you would like to submit someone for nomination, please email Mike O'Blennis. We'll go ahead and here in a bit drop his email in that chat. So you can nominate for board of director positions or for our next club vice president. Remember that we do not have a club program next week, as it is the day before Thanksgiving. Our next club meeting will be a Zoom meeting on December 2nd. And on behalf of the entire board, we just want to wish you all a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. That concludes our club business for this week, so we can jump right into the program. Our program chair for this month has been Catherine Smith. Catherine Smith has actually covered programs for the last few months, and we are so grateful to her and for all the programs that she was able to bring together to really highlight all the things going on here in Idaho Falls. And this week, we have the privilege to hear from fellow Rotarian and Executive Director of the Art Museum of Eastern Idaho, Miyai Abe Griggs. Together with the Board of Directors and staff, Griggs promotes the power of arts to educate, inspire, and empower the lives of individuals of all ages and abilities throughout Eastern Idaho through diverse and rotating art exhibits, acquiring and displaying artwork, particularly works by Idaho artists, and providing extensive art educational opportunities. Prior to serving as the Art Museum's executive director, a position she has held since late 2010, Miyai served as assistant director to the Art Museum as well as a public relations director. Before becoming a full-time staff member in the spring of 2007, Griggs' initial association with the Art Museum began as a weekly volunteer, working as a docent, assisting with exhibit installations, and assisting the Art Museum's educators with art lessons and activities during museum family days. Born in Tokyo and raised primarily in states throughout the Midwest, Griggs worked in the oil and gas industry in Oklahoma and Texas before shifting her focus to the visual arts. She holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in painting from Brigham Young University in Utah. Welcome, Miyai.
Thank you, Liza, so much for this opportunity to be here, and I am happy to at least speak to my fellow Rotarians virtually today. It's been a while, I think, since I've, of course, seen many of you, but also it's been a while since I think I've talked to the Rotarians about what's happening at the Art Museum as of late, and so, and also because I think that those who are joining us aren't necessarily all Rotarians. I thought I would kind of do a combination of just a little bit of what we as an art museum do in the community, and then also just some updates of what's happening at the art museum in light of COVID-19. So. So from the beginning, human beings have felt the compulsion to create art. We innately seem to understand the language of art from birth. Much of what we know about ancient civilization is the result of artwork that they left behind for us. And that artwork tells a story of humanity. And it brings the past and present together. And like so many artists before, our contemporary artists today, these artists that are working here in our community, continue to tell these important stories of our day and our story. And if it weren't for them, there really wouldn't be anybody else that would tell our story. And in terms of our historical experiences that we're going through in 2020, I think that that's even more so. In an address by President of Stanford University, John L. Hennessy, he spoke on the incorporation of the arts in pursuit of excellence as an integral part of the university's educational mission. And I just want to go ahead and read this. It says, artists have always responded to the issues of the day, integrated the latest thinking and challenges of our perceptions. The arts develop ways of thinking that can be nonlinear and visual. And in addition to the role of the arts in fostering creative thinking, the arts give us a venue for dealing with the complexities and ambiguities of human existence, helping to build a bridge between diverse cultures and experiences. The primary reason for the institution to build stronger programs in the arts, in his opinion, was to enhance the ability of their students to think creatively and to contribute to society in novel ways. Quote, the arts can help us break out of traditional patterns of thinking and adopt fresh approaches to intellectual experiences. Discontinuous innovations require novel thinking and breakthroughs in how a particular problem or challenge is approached. I believe the arts offer an expanded tool set for learning and understanding that can enhance creative thinking skills. So these cross-disciplinary collaborations are more important than ever between the arts and fields of science and math and technology. Diversity of interests, experiences, expertise, backgrounds, and cultures broadens our worldview and stimulates creativity. The arts as a means of cross-cultural communication and understanding will become increasingly important. And I think that we are seeing that in our day today as we not only grapple with the pandemic, but with other societal challenges that have been brought forth in just the last few months. Today's cultural institutions serve as the soul of the communities they serve. School children, family members, and community members from all socioeconomic backgrounds come together to gain confidence and independence in the creative process through exploration and self-expression. So since 2002, the Art Museum of Eastern Idaho, that I'll reference as TAM, has operated in the public trust as a museum of service and as a regional leader in the visual arts. We serve as a catalyst for creative engagement between the arts and individuals of all abilities and ages, and we really try to focus on being inclusive in that. Like Liza said, we really do promote the power of the arts to educate, inspire, and to empower the lives of individuals that we interact with, and through our rotating art exhibits, through our permanent collection, which we continue to build to this day, particularly of our Idaho artists, and providing extensive educational opportunities. We really focus on being a gathering place for our community. And you'll notice in our logo of the Art Museum that we have these circles as part of our logo. And the circles are an Aboriginal symbol that defines meeting or a gathering space. And when we were going through the process of developing a new logo a few years ago, we decided that that was an appropriate symbol to use in the art museum's new logo. The circles not only represent unity and coming together, but they also represent the expansion of TAM's programming and the rippling effect the exposures to the arts can have on individuals and the development of new ideas and perspectives, much like dropping a little pebble in a pond of water and seeing that ripple effect throughout our community. So the strength and the beauty of the Art Museum of Eastern Idaho, I think, and what I think is a little bit unique about the museum is that it wasn't built on the philanthropy of just one or two wealthy individuals in our community, but it was really a dream of our local our artists, I should say. And so our local artists, as many of you know, and as many of you were part of, spent over a decade in raising building funds to have a art museum here in our community, and it was not a simple, easy feat by no imagination. It really took a long time and a lot of community effort from local foundations like the CHC Foundation and other community leaders in the city who really understood that the quality of life plays an important role in retaining and attracting a quality workforce, and that it's important if we want to look at sustained economic growth for our community. And so this was a truly community effort, and it continues to be a community effort to this day. And upon the completion of our building, the board of directors gifted the building to the city. And so TAM operates on a 50-year renewable lease with the city, but operates as a private 501c3. And so those of us who are tasked with stewarding this art museum do take that responsibility seriously, and we really do try to maintain the initial mission and spirit of what our local artists built this museum for. So one of the things, obviously, as an art museum is that we do exhibit our rotating exhibits. They change basically about every 3 to 4 months in a typical year, I should say. And they really do range from internationally traveling exhibits to exhibits that showcase artists such as Marilyn Hanson, who we see pictured here. In the last few years, we've had the privilege of being able to showcase some of our local artists who have had distinguished careers and who are not only celebrated here in our community, but throughout the state of Idaho and throughout our country. We really do have a wide and deep reservoir of talented artists in our community, and it's been really an honor and a privilege for us as an Idaho Art Museum to be able to showcase some of the artists in a retrospective of their work. And so the other important part of what we do as an art museum is to ensure that our local artists have a place to exhibit their work. That was one of the main reasons why they wanted to build an art museum in our community. And so we have made sure throughout the years that the artists always have a place to exhibit. And so the corridor and studio galleries are always reserved for our local artists as well, regardless of what other exhibits we might have in our gallery spaces. Now, as you can imagine, with the sudden and drastic downturn of the economy due to COVID-19, the Art Museum hasn't been immune to those impacts as well. We, along with other cultural arts organizations in our community and throughout our country and really the world, we have had to quickly pivot to survive in this climate that we find ourselves, and it continues to change, and we continue to try to navigate the situation as it evolves. And so the in mid-March, like many other organizations and businesses, we did close temporarily for a time, and we were able to reopen again at the beginning of June. But because we have a very limited staff, and because we didn't want to wipe out our entire staff at one time, and also because as a nonprofit, as most of you know, we really do rely on our volunteers to operate the museum. Really, we have 4 full-time museum staff, and the rest we really rely on volunteers primarily for the daily upkeep of the museum. And so because most of our wonderful docents, our wonderful volunteers are in an age group that are most susceptible to COVID, we have not brought any of our volunteers back to date. And so we as a staff have tried to maintain operations. And so we are working in cohorts. And so because of that, we do have limited hours. Our new hours, or our hours at the moment anyways, are from 1 to 5, Tuesday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, we're open from 10 to 4. And despite the new going into phase 2 as of last week, we are hopeful that we can continue to maintain our doors being open for the foreseeable future. And so we are doing our very best to provide a sanctuary during this time for our community, for those who wish to still continue to see art exhibits and really just to take a break, I think, from the challenges that we all find ourselves in right now. And an important function of what we do as an art museum is also that we, like I said before, collect artwork as part of our permanent collection. And this collection has really become a blessing to the art museum during this time. As you can imagine, I think Brandy spoke a few weeks ago about the challenges of having these traveling shows being canceled, and exhibits are not an exception either. And so as we have suddenly found ourselves having to readjust our exhibit schedules and things, we have really relied on our permanent collection to be able to exhibit some artwork in the museum in a safe and physically distanced manner. Our initial goal before COVID hit was that we were going to do a grand celebration of the centennial anniversary of women's suffrage in 2020. And so it was our plan to pay homage to women artists throughout our entire exhibit season, and that came to an abrupt halt a little bit because of the situation. And so we pivoted quickly and put together an exhibit from our permanent collection that featured all artists, all female artists from our community primarily, and this gave us an opportunity to showcase some of the female artists within our own community who have really pioneered and really paved the way for so many of us who are here now in our community, and a lot of these pioneering women are probably artists and art teachers who many of you will probably recognize, and many may have even taken art classes, like Helen Opperly, Alice Tremblay. These are ladies who taught generations of artists, and a lot of those artists continue to work and are contributing to our community today. And it also gave us the opportunity to provide this exhibit virtually, which is something that we've wanted to do for some time, but had never quite taken the jump to do so. And so with the help of Resin Architecture and their technology, they were graciously able to help us to get this virtual exhibit online in a matter of, I think, less than a week. And so we were so grateful for their help and expertise in helping us to be able to provide an exhibit to our community even though we couldn't really be open to the public at the time. And then in June, we were able to open so that people could see the artwork in person. And although the virtual exhibit was wonderful and we are so grateful that we could do it, I really am a strong advocate for seeing art in person. There's just not a substitute, I think, for really seeing artwork in person. And so we're grateful for them and for that. But these opportunities have really provided I guess maybe forced us in a good way to do some of those things that we have been wanting to do as an organization for some time and just haven't. And so here are a few other pictures of exhibits, and you'll probably recognize some Rotarians or former Rotarians like Carol Johnson and Lexi French. So here was our women's artist. I guess I covered that a little bit already. So currently, as of last week, we opened a brand new exhibit called Art Collective, and this exhibit showcases our many art organizations in our community. So the Eagle Rock Art Guild is one of the oldest guilds. I think it is the oldest art guild in Idaho. And from the guild stems all of these other organizations, including the Art Museum and organizations like the Idaho Watercolor Society, the Colored Pencil Society. I think many people that are new to our community, I certainly was surprised that our community has a very vibrant art culture. And it is because of these women like Helen Opperly and Ina Euler, Fred Ochi, who laid the groundwork for us to be able to have what we do today. And this art collective is an opportunity for us to celebrate the organizations that continue to nurture our local artists. And so we have 11 different organizations that are represented, and each is allotted a certain amount of wall space, essentially, and they are given the opportunity to decide how they want to go about representing their organization. And how they want to jury that. And so we just barely opened that on Thursday, and we are happy to also be able to showcase the Eagle Rock Art Guild as part of one of those organizations. Without them, I don't think the rest of us would be here, and so we're very grateful for them. This exhibit will run through January 9th. So as I mentioned before, one of the things that we really do focus on at the Art Museum is the educational outreach. And so in a normal year, our outreach program and what we do in terms of our education at the museum is really a huge focus, as of course any museum would be. And so so whether it be art classes at the museum, like this young gentleman here, or these students here, it's an opportunity for them to be able to experience the joys and the challenges also of creating artwork and gaining confidence in that experience. And really, our goal is really not to create artists out of all of these young children, but simply to provide some tools that we really strongly believe are crucial for success in the 21st century. So regardless of whether you become an astronaut or an engineer or the next scientist who saves us with a great COVID vaccine, that the exposure to the humanities and the arts will make us better at whatever we choose to do in whatever field that we aspire to do. 10 reasons, according to Elliot Seif, for teaching art in the 21st century is, according to him, it's school retention, positive habits, behaviors and attitudes, enhanced creativity, developing critical intellectual skills like observing, interpreting different perspectives, analyzing and synthesizing, methods of learning language skills, and helping students learn mathematics through measurements, numbers, manipulation, proportional thinking, learning patterns, spatial and geometric relationships, and three-dimensional skills. It also expands and enriches learning in other subjects as is well documented. And the aesthetic learning is its own reward, according to him, and that talents and interests are developed during this process, and that it also teaches teamwork. And I feel like when we give these students these tools that are often developed or can be easily developed through the arts, that we just offer these kind of like the fish, giving a fish for a day feeds a person for a day, and showing an individual how to fish feeds them for a lifetime. And I feel like what we strive to do as a museum is to focus our educational outreach and an initiative on providing just tools that regardless of what you choose to do in life, that you will be able to have these tools that will help you throughout your life. I feel like my personal art education has definitely helped me in that way. And although I don't get to spend time in the studio anymore, that I still have the opportunity to utilize those skills that I amassed during those fine art training in various aspects, regardless of what that might be in my career. And so, as you can imagine, we were unable to provide these after-school art classes at the museum for some time. And so, and actually, I guess we continue to provide these art opportunities virtually, like everything else, in life at the moment. We are providing these classes virtually to students. And so I just wanted to read this little message from Kate. Her daughter, she said, "My 6-year-old daughter, Julia, absolutely loves drawing and exploring art. Actually, just this morning, she woke up at 5:30 a.m. because she had a dream about something and she wanted to draw it right away. We are so glad that the Art Museum has been able to keep classes going during this pandemic. I've been really impressed by the quality of the class and the attention to details, including organizing materials that we can take home. Alexa, who is our educational director, our education director at the museum, does a fantastic job engaging with the kids over Zoom, and she seems to have endless patience. Being able to participate from home has even had some unexpected benefits, one of them being that my daughter is able to keep working on her projects after class time is over. Overall, the experience has been wonderful." And I think some of the other feedback that we've gotten from parents is that because we are focused on the process and not necessarily the product, the final product of what our students do at our art lessons, sometimes it's not clear to parents what they're actually learning during art class, just by looking at whatever masterpiece they've created that day and bringing home. And so one of the nice encouraging things, that the feedback that we received, is that a lot of our parents are impressed at what their children are learning, the fundamentals of art through these virtual classes that they get to kind of be a part of as a result. In addition to our children's classes, we also do offer adult classes and workshops for people of varying skill level and experience. One of the most popular ones pre-pandemic was our clay studio class that for some reason, although most people don't feel like, if they're not an artist, they don't feel comfortable trying to take a drawing or a painting class, for some reason, people feel that clay is accessible. And so it's a great first step for people that just kind of want to explore to take a clay studio class. And so those classes pre-pandemic were filling up very quickly, and we had waiting lists and things, and just people waiting to be able to experience throwing a pot and just playing with clay. And so these experiences unfortunately are on hold at the moment, and we really look forward to the day that we can resume these. We get calls every week about when we might be able to resume these experiences, and we are eagerly anticipating that day as well. As you can see from this photo, that that we have these portable wheels that we bring into the classroom, to the museum classroom, and that classroom area gets converted into many different uses throughout the day, typically. And one of the things that also the pandemic did affect, hopefully temporarily, is that pre-pandemic we were just getting started to pursue a capital campaign for a new education wing to the museum, so that we could build a ceramic studio and a printmaking studio and some of those things that our community has expressed an interest and need in. And because of the pandemic, we've put that on hold temporarily, but we are confident and hopeful that we will be able to resume that at some point in the near future. But I just wanted to mention, in terms of this ceramic studio, we actually had a lady in Jackson who was retiring and had an entire ceramic studio that she donated to the museum. And so right now we have a fully equipped ceramic studio just waiting in storage, just waiting for the time that we will be able to have the physical space to accommodate such things. And so we're looking forward to that. Some exciting things for the community for sure. We also work in partnership with teachers throughout our community, and providing ways for them to be able to incorporate the arts into their curriculum, and providing and helping them gain confidence in that experience and the opportunities there. Our field trips, of course, are on pause as well. But that's also another important part of what we do at the museum. Like I said, it's important for children, I think, to be able to see artwork in person. It is nice to see things online, and it's nice to see things in a textbook, but there's just something that seeing a piece of artwork in person just can't be replaced by those things. And so while we are doing our very best to accommodate and work with the situation that we've been given, we are looking forward to inviting all of those school children back to the museum to be able to experience these opportunities firsthand. Our outreach program in our schools is something that we have been doing for, I think, since 2003, and it has it actually grew out of a response to budget cuts within our schools and not having arts in the schools. And so since 2003, we've taken art educators who are all practicing artists to classrooms throughout eastern Idaho, from Soda Springs to Du Bois, and everywhere in between, so that and they take the art supplies and anything that they would need, and provide these 3-hour art experiences for our rural schools. And we do entire school, K through 6 or 9, art immersion experiences. And then for our city, Idaho Falls area, we focus on 3rd and 4th grade. We also, we also do monthly outreaches to our Head Start program, and we send our museum educators there to preschoolers every month, as well as State Hospital South as well. And so because we are not able to go into classrooms at the moment, we've been doing a lot of art lessons virtually online, providing these art lessons that are easily accessible to teachers or to parents who are at home with young ones, that they will be able to, regardless of what your art experience might be and what supplies you might have at your home, we try to make them very accommodating to what you might find around the house. And so we have been making these available as well, and through our social media posts as well. And we have also, though, been piloting, I guess would be the right word, of how to provide these virtual outreach experiences to schools because we can't go into the schools right now. And in October, we started piloting these experiences, and we're fine-tuning this and just kind of trying to figure out the balance between technology and making it possible for the schools to be able to still experience these things. And I think that while it's unfortunate that we can't go into schools right now, that kind of like the telehealth medicine and things like that, I think that this pandemic and us having to navigate ways to provide art virtually will provide maybe greater accessibility to our rural schools. Right now, we can't go to our rural schools as often as we like because of distance, and perhaps these virtual opportunities will provide ways that we can do some greater outreach as a result. And so while there are things that we wish were a little different, obviously, I think that anytime we have an opportunity to change our way of thinking or of doing things, and just trying to find creative solutions to the situation that we find ourselves in, that I do believe that hopefully we'll all come out stronger in the end. So in March of 2020, at the very beginning of March, this was when, right just as COVID was kind of starting to kind of become a greater possibility, I guess, in terms of our country and our community. We opened our Young at Art Family Day exhibit on March 7th. And we weren't sure how that would be received in the community, if people would be comfortable coming out to being around other people. So we just had no idea what to expect. And we actually had had a record-breaking attendance that day, with well over 1,000 people coming through on that Saturday to celebrate the opening of that exhibit. And that exhibit is an annual opportunity for our young artists to showcase their work. So from floor to ceiling, our museum is covered with artwork by young children, and it's a wonderful and joyful exhibit that's a favorite among many of our visitors. And it was a wonderful celebration of art. And as you can see, it was busy. We always have an associated art project that everyone is invited to participate in, that's accessible regardless of your age and ability. And so it's really one of the most rewarding things, I think, that I find working at the Art Museum, is to see these family days and to see people participating and enjoying themselves and exploring the artwork. And so fast forward 9 days, and we had to temporarily close the Art Museum, like so many other businesses, like I mentioned before. And so not only did that put a premature end to this exhibit, but it also put an abrupt end to field trips and classes, workshops, camps, any other events that the museum is normally involved in. And that was particularly sad, I think, for us, because usually that April and May time period is when we have our busiest time for field trips and things, and those are the times when we really get to see our young kids coming through the Art Museum. And for those of us that aren't as involved in education, for those of us that don't get to go out into the schools, it's an opportunity for us to be able to see the small impact that we're having in our community. And so we were sad that was interrupted, and hopefully we're looking forward to having all of those children come back sometime in the near future, I hope. So this is just a picture of Family Day last month. Obviously, we could not have the gathering that we typically do for our family days, and so we had to take and make kind of pre-packaged art kit that families were able to take home and make at home And so just how quickly and the world has changed in just a matter of months. But of course, we, like everyone else, are just doing the best that we can with the situation that we've been provided. The Museum Artists Organization, I wanted to just touch on briefly, is an organization that is focused on the development of our art, our artists in our community. So professional development in a number of capacities, whether that be our pre-exhibit opening talks with the exhibiting artists, demonstrations, whether that be open studios where we bring in live models for the artists to be able to study the figure. This is an opportunity for artists to really be able to rub shoulders with each other. And although we have started doing our open studios again in very limited numbers, our demos and all of those things are currently via virtual right now. In addition to that, we also do a number of other events throughout the year that we're known for. Twice a year, we typically do a poetry slam. And that was not possible this year, of course. And we actually did try to do a virtual poetry slam in October. Because typically our poetry slams the slots for those poetry slam fill up within a day. And we have about 10 slots and they fill up within sometimes hours. And so we thought that maybe doing a virtual poetry slam would be a way that we could accommodate some of our poets in our community. And we were surprised to discover that poets weren't really excited to perform virtually, I guess. And so we really didn't have the number of poets that we needed to do a poetry slam. And so we kind of thought that, amidst all of this chaos and everything, that our poets might be writing some great poetry. And according to one poet who has participated for a decade, just the chaos has made it so that he hasn't been able to focus on writing any poetry, and I can certainly understand that as well. Some of our other events that we do on a typical year is our Beau Cadeau event, and that is typically would have been last weekend, and that is a 3-day shopping extravaganza where we showcase our artisans through our local artisans, and it provides an opportunity to buy handcrafted, one-of-a-kind gifts from artisans working in our community, and it also serves as a fundraiser for the art museum. And because of the restrictions, we decided to do a twist on this Beau Cadeau this year. Oh, sorry, I forgot about this picture. So this is just, I guess, me having a mommy moment. And this is my little guy at Beau Cadeau. One of the traditions of Beau Cadeau is that Santa always makes an appearance. And so this is my little guy when he was a baby. And then this is him last year. And obviously he likes Santa Claus much, much better now. He's discovered the joys of Santa. But instead of Beau Cadeau this year, we've done a slight twist on that, and we are calling it Beau Boutique. It's an opportunity to still buy handcrafted items for the holidays without the crowds. And so we've extended it from November 12th through December 26th, and it's open when the museum is open from 1 to 5 on Tuesday through Friday, and Saturdays from 1 to 4. And it's an opportunity to still be able to shop local and to support the museum and our local artisans, and be able to do so with physical distancing and other safe protocols. We also do offer a by appointment, and so if you are particularly concerned and don't want to be and want an exclusive shopping experience, you're welcome to call the art museum and have a exclusive shopping experience. But basically, we've invited 13 of the artisans to provide their gifts for the holidays at the museum as basically part of the gift shop, and that has flowed into the foyer of the museum, and so we are hopeful that that is a compromise, perhaps, of something that we can still do a semblance of Bocado while within the restrictions that we are currently living in. And so I just want to say a special thanks to Downtown Development for sponsoring this event this year again, and for and here's a picture of what that looks like. So we have our exhibit, and then we also have Beau Boutique going on at the same time in the same space. And so like so many other cultural art institutions, we are trying to navigate our way through our current world, and doing the best that we can. And hopefully, if you find yourself needing a little moment within all the chaos and the uncertainty that we find ourselves in, that you will feel comfortable in stopping by. That there is a little sanctuary located on the rivers of the Snake River. And we are so grateful to all of those who have continued to support the museum and all of our many cultural institutions throughout our community, despite these challenging times for the arts and for businesses and for everyone, really. We really couldn't do it without your support. And I know you as Rotarians are some of the biggest supporters of our community. And so I thank you, and I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. And let's see. Okay, and I do have some questions, it looks like. So okay. Oh, there's quite a few questions, actually. Okay, good. Okay, so question one was, what has been your favorite exhibit? Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. It really just depends on the moment. I think that for me, even though we have had many, many wonderful exhibits throughout the years, the one that I find most rewarding is our children's exhibit, because I feel like that is the exhibit where I can see that we are making an impact in our community. When we see the artwork of young children, it just gives me hope. Young children are artists, and it's really refreshing to see the artwork of young children who haven't been told that they're not artists yet, and that have no inhibitions, and that's just really rewarding, I think. What has been most popular with patrons? I think that our Idaho, our statewide art competition that is held biennially, is one of our more popular ones. Obviously, our retrospectives, where we showcase artists within our own community, have been very well received. How do we select what exhibits to show? So typically, we have an exhibits committee, and artists are invited to submit applications, exhibit proposals. We have a committee comprised of artists, myself, and our education team. All of our education outreach, everything that we do in education is based off of our exhibits. And so our education team has tremendous input in what exhibits we bring into the community. So how does TAM teach students and young Idahoans? So I think maybe I might have covered some of these questions. And if I didn't, please feel free to contact me. One question was, has the internet dramatically changed the dynamic of the art museum world? And I would say it has in some ways, and it hasn't in some ways, I would say. And I think that this experience with this pandemic, with everybody for a while saying that things were shifting to virtual, and in some circles saying that making things by hand or things like that were old fashioned and things like that. I think that I think if anything, this experience and this pandemic has shown us that that humans will always create. And whether that be through technology or with their hands, there will always be an innate desire to create, and how we view that might be a little different. But I think through this experience, it's taught me that we are that as we adapt, as museums throughout the world adapt to better serve our communities, that the museums and the arts will continue to play a pivotal role in our society. I think more than ever, it's the arts are a way for us to be able to learn about each other, that can cross cultural barriers and language barriers that often other methods can't. And I think that in our global society today, that is even more important. And as we come to really understand who we are as human beings, and that we actually have a lot more in common than we have that separates us, I think that that those are things that we will learn through the arts. And so I think that those are things that aren't going to go away anytime soon. And if you could have dinner with any 3 artists, living or dead, who would you choose? I think Picasso, Cezanne, and I think Helen Frankenthaler. Maybe. I don't know, just off the top of my head. But there's a lot of artists that have done great things. And so with that, I thank you for your time today and wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, and wish you health, and look forward to seeing you sometime, hopefully in the future. Thank you.
Thank you again to Miyai. It was great to learn about all the things that the Art Museum does in our community. What a wonderful resource for learning and entertainment and culture in our community, and all that does, and the ways that you've been able to adjust and really make sure that you can still provide such a wonderful experience despite the turbulent times. Thank you again to Catherine Smith for being such a fantastic program chair. We really appreciate, again, all that she's put together over the last few months. Just a reminder that we will not have a club meeting next week. Our next meeting will be on December 2nd. Everybody have a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you again.